Hello, friends and supporters. This is Detroit Miracle, and I'm coming back to you from On the Spot. Right now, I am here to discuss the accusation involving the finger in the armpit. Yeah, and I mean that underneath in a way. There are some who don't know what I'm talking about, but there are others that do. So let me explain. Well, there is a famous sports reporter, journalist named Malika Andrews. And might I add, she's a very beautiful woman who the networks hired because they saw something in her in which could draw followers. Okay, now there is her friend or so-called friend named Jalen Rose, who's an ex-NBA basketball star who became a sports analyst after he retired sometime around 2007 and 2008. Okay, Jalen Rose appeared on her show and he gave her a one-armed hug. He wrapped his arm around her this way and put his hand on her shoulder. But Malika Andrews said, all of a sudden, get your fingers out of my armpit. Just out of nowhere. And then after that happened, the internet was over a buzz. It was over the top with people, personalities, and things making all types of videos condemning Malika Andrews for her actions. They immediately took it as an offense given to Jalen Rose, and you could tell that Jalen Rose was uncomfortable with that remark, even though he sort of played it off with a smile. And if you type in the Malika Andrews, Jalen Rose incident, it will come up. And there are a lot of video makers out there voicing their opinionation based on what they saw on camera. Yeah, Jalen came on and you could tell they had some type of friendship relationship in the past because he was comfortable giving her a hug. He hugged her, but her co-host was somebody that he just gave a handshake to or a pound, like, what's up, buddy? That sort of thing. But he actually hugged Malika. And then when he hugged her, she looked up, get your hand out of my armpit or get your finger out of my armpit. Then Jalen Rose immediately looked at her, smiled, and took his hands off of her. Then when he shook the other guy's hand or gave the other guy a type of pound, like, what's happening, brother? What'd it be like? Something very hip and cool. So automatically, the general public jumped to the conclusion that she implied some type of sexual harassment claim against Jalen Rose. I don't know if armpits constitutes or classifies as private parts or bodily organs, but nevertheless, it was funny and it was hilarious at the time in a way, but people took it very serious. Okay, with that being said, let me wait until this passes. Okay, with that being said and done, a few days later, I believe Jalen Rose gave a reply to the public about what had went down with regard to himself and Malika Andrews. He said something like, look, that is my sister, and then whatever happened, I had a right, or he said, I'm a boss G gangster type of dude. So I felt that I had to hug my sister or something like that because I was a boss and a G. It was to something of that effect, but I don't got it completely right. I'm just using my best guesstimation off of what I seen. He said, look, she's my sister. He kept repeating that. He said, look, this lady is my sister, and I hug my sister. She's my sister from the Bay. And then he mentioned another lady that he was affectionate towards. Jalen Rose never indicated that there was anything romantic between him and Malika Andrews, nor did he of that other woman who he referred to. He just said that they are my sisters, and especially Malika Andrews. Apparently, Jalen Rose did some type of journalism or analysis with Malika Andrews. He said that they knew each other in regards to a personal type of thing as well as a private thing of friendship, but nothing more than that. And Jalen Rose sort of attacked the general public because he felt that they jumped to conclusions and assumed the worst about that whole situation. And now I must say that I have watched many videos on the subject matter, and it appears as though people have made up their mind concerning that matter because Malika Andrews has a reputation of going after men and black men in particular, and then she throws them under the bus. She says bad things about them and tries to get them fired. So that has been her reputation. But apparently Jalen Rose vouched for her, so she never behaved like that towards him. And to her credit, you've never heard Malika Andrews say anything publicly bad about Jalen Rose. So I'm thinking that maybe people are taking things out of context and jumping to conclusions. You know, many people do jump to conclusions and they want to assume the worst about people or a situation rather than wanting to assume the best about them. Now, that situation that went down with Jalen and Malika, it could have involved her simply cracking a joke and being funny. Maybe they're like that. Maybe she cracks jokes and say stupid things and quirky things all the time. And Jalen might do the same thing to her. So it might be the case where that is the real truth of the matter. Because who says that somebody is sexually harassing them by sticking their finger inside of their underarms or something? Get your finger out of my underarms or something like that. Then they kept replaying her repeat that over and over. Get your finger out of my underarm. And it was a clear-cut hug where his fingers and hands could be shown on her shoulder the whole time. So I'm thinking that might be the case where it was something where she was just being funny. She was happy to see him. And she said, and she might do things like that all the time because people do tend to tell jokes and be funny on situations and things. And then she never filed any type of complaint against Jalen Rose for the notorious armpit grab, in which he didn't. So the moral to the story is maybe something happened, maybe something didn't happen regarding her feeling that she was inappropriately touched, and she wasn't groped or grabbed inappropriately, but it could have been where she felt uncomfortable with the situation, but maybe she didn't at the same time. He looks at her as a sister, this Jalen Rose does, so maybe like they hug each other all the time like that. He gives her half hugs and she says something stupid and crazy to that effect, you know. It's just some stupid thing, you know. So it's no reason why people in general should take things to the extreme regarding their viewpoints on matters. Yeah, people. And whether something happened inappropriately or not, it is their business regarding the parties involved to take offense to that matter, which had nothing to do with the general public. But of course, men are being accused of inappropriate behavior, so people would assume the worst. And And all the guys are saying, wow, we got this evidence now to prove that none of us guys never did anything wrong or inappropriately touched a woman, because it proves that they're lying, because this woman is lying out in the open because he was not touching her underarm, you know. And then, like I said, it could have been where she just cracked a joke and said something funny in which she thought was funny, but many people didn't take as being funny. Yeah, well, that was the subject for this evening. And I'd appreciate it if you folks would give me those likes, comments, and please subscribe to my channel.